There are over 106,000 patients are waiting for the transplant surgery in the United States. Every 9 minutes, another name is added to the national transplant waiting list. Every minute counts, but the fact is, there are not enough organs from organ donor available to conduct the surgery. To solve the organ shortage issue, there is an alternative solution that has been developed by the scientists, which is something I'd like to introduce you today: xenotransplantation. Xenotransplantation is the transplantation of organs from a different species, such as a pig to human. To be successful in human, xenotransplant must overcome the issue of transplant rejection, cross-species infection, and ethics. The barrier to define a species of xenotransplant is whether reproduction between the species is possible or not. A dog and a pig cannot mate and successfully produce offspring. Therefore, they are different species, and a transplant from one to the other will call a xenotransplant. However, a collie and a Labrador retriever can mate and produce offspring. Therefore, they are the same species, and a transplant from one to the other would not be called as a xenotransplant.
Xenotransplantation, there are two main things we would like to look into, which the first one will be immunity response, second will be the diseases transmissions. So first of all, we'll talk about immunity responses. And it actually shows the main immunological barriers, which includes the immunological rejections and several immune response, and both of these are the main concern for a successful xenotransplantation. For example, hyperacute rejection (HAL), which normally happens immediately after the transplantation, and it will induce the coagulation activation, leading to a rapid rejection of graft. And second, delayed xenograft rejection (DSL), which normally happen in hours to days due to vascular rejection. And third one, acute cellular rejection (ACR), which actually shows the T cell and B cell infiltrations to the xenograft. And the fourth one, chronic rejection (CR), which normally happen in weeks to months, and it is the latest type of rejections, or we can say it's a phenomenon of immune system which cause progressive loss of function of the xenograft. So for information, HAL and DSL are considered as two antibody-mediated process against the transplanted organ, and meanwhile ACL and CL are cell-mediated responses leading to the destructions of the transplanted organ. So next one we'll look into the diseases transmission. And in xenograft and in xenotransplantation, it did carries potential risk of transmission of infections in between the cells and organs. So in most of the time, it's due to the infection agent which exists within the animal origin, and it will transfer to a human during the transplantation. For example, the common naming for the diseases will be xenosis and xenozoonosis. Therefore, some surveillance programs are needed to be considered and developed in order to detect known and unknown infection agents.
From the perspective of religion on xenotransplant, Islam seems to have an interesting view. We already know that pig is considered as haram in Islam. According to Mufti Dr. Ishaq Ahmad Ajas, xenotransplant is not accepted unless the person is in the state of istira. Things that are forbidden in Islam becomes permitted, jaiz. For example, if the person is dying of hunger, left no choice, with no will of rebellion against the God, he is permitted to consume pork. This concept is also found in Fuqaha and Mufassirin. Tadawe Gil Muharram according to the Mufti. From the view of ethical though, xenotransplant is often criticized as ethical and legal fallacy, considering the animal rights and the concerns of organ donation.
Xenotransplantation has the potential to increase organ supply and reduce the waitlist mortality for critically ill people who require organ transplants. The disadvantages includes high rejection rate, moral and ethical issues, and also transfer of disease from animals to humans. Even though the potential benefits are considerable, the use of xenotransplantation raises concern regarding the potential infection of recipients, with both recognized and unrecognized infectious agent. The clinical application of xenotransplantation is hammered by considerable barriers, not the least of which the immunological barrier. There is high potential for cross-species infection by retroviruses, which may be latent and also lead to diseases years after infection. Moreover, new infection agents may not be readily identified by current techniques and technology, which can cause many new unidentifiable diseases. In conclusion, currently there are a lot of cons compared to the pros in the field of xenotransplantation. It is still too early to take a side in this area of study, since it is still in a very beginning stage. For now, it's too early to implement the study on living organisms, since a lot of tests were failure. Further research should be done to enhance the understanding in this field.